A very good afternoon, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to our afternoon session. We trust you enjoyed your meal. So let's now move ahead with an engaging seminar. The next topic is Thailand emerging as a leading medical hub. This topic aims to explore Thailand's rise as a leading medical hub focused on its advanced healthcare services, medical tourism, and strategic initiatives driving this growth. We are honored to have Assistant Director General, Department of Health Service Support and Director, Bureau of Medical Hub Industrial Promotion, Dr. Akrapol Kurusatra. Deputy Governor for International Marketing, Europe, America, Middle East, and Africa, Tourism Authority of Thailand, Mr. Siripakon Cheosamut, and Co-CEO Bamrungrad International Hospital, Dr. Nipat Gulabkha with us, Head of Institutional Research, Tesco Securities, Mr. Thanawat Runbanteung will be our moderator for this session. So ladies and gentlemen, may I now invite all the panelists and moderator on the stage.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm honored to be here today again and Thailand Focus this year. In the next hour, we will walk you through one of the compelling S-curve growth story for Thai healthcare sector. We are all aware that Thai healthcare has driving force of the set for quite some time. For example, earnings per share of Thai healthcare sector has been doubled in the past 10 years, while set EPS has gone nowhere. What's the key driver of the sector? We believe that it's higher utilization rate of the recent rapid hospital expansion in the sector, which is successfully capturing Thailand urbanization theme in addition to aging of our population. But some may questioning how this growth can be sustainable in the medium term, since Thailand economy has been facing several structural issues currently. But we still believe that the sector has still had room to grow because recently we have a new growth engine, which is foreign demand for healthcare service in Thailand. Why Thai private healthcare service is more attractive to foreign patients? No one can answer this question better than the leading player in this segment, Bamrungrad Hospital. And we are honored today to have Kun Nipat, Co-CEO of Bamrungrad, and will share with us today why and the key strength of the Thai private hospital sector. Kun Nipat, could you share your thoughts on this?
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. So my name is Dr. Nipat. I'm a co-CEO of Bamrungrad Hospital. What it's a competitive advantage today for the Thailand private health sectors. I'm talking about this is just general view of how big of the global medical tourism. You see for this year, we forecast about 100,000 billion, also 100 billions. This is sourced from the research and markets with a growth rate about almost 20%. We will probably reach 284 billion by 2032. And what about Thailand? Usually, when we see the bigger picture as the ASEAN usually pay I think the number 2 and number 3 in the world of the ranking in terms of the revenue of the medical tourism. And Thailand within ASEAN, it's number 1. We always number 1 in terms of the medical values coming to Thailand. 3 billion forecast for last year, and at the end of 2030, it's about 16 billion. What is the competitive advantage of Thailand? First one, safety and quality standards and world-class medical expertise. You know, today, in Thailand, there are 62 hospitals accredited by the JCI. It's called Joint Commission International, which is the benchmarking as a regulator for the hospital in America. So what does it mean? It means that 62 hospitals in Thailand, more or less the quality and standards likely in America. And then popular tourist attraction. You know, Thailand, we have the beautiful beaches, we have the tasty food, we have a Thai hospitality. So thank you for the TAT as well that help us promoting, this one. And the visa, especially for the medical visa that we have, I have to thank you for the government sectors that helping us a lot on this one. Affordable price compared to the Western world. In America, UK, Europe, we are way cheaper, even compared to Singapore. So probably on average of I'm talking about my hospital only, it's about 30% less. Advanced medical technologies. And I have to thank you for the MOH Thailand as well to allow us to access and having the high technology and the high standard of treatment, medicines, medical technologies bringing to Thailand. And of course, the last one is it's the Thai hospitality and patient experience. And what's inside into this circle? Precision medicine and wellness is a key differentiators. As you know, the healthcare trend has been shifting. It's shifting from when you get sick, you go to the hospital, you get meds, you get surgery, you get treatment, and you go home. Now to preventions. As Dr. Akarapon just talking to me that the cost of prevention is way cheaper than treatment. And now this trend, it's coming. So for the wellness, what it is, if you, how can I say it? If you promote your health, if you make your health healthy, if you can know in advance, you test your DNA, your gene, and you know that you are about to you have a probability to have the cancer. 20 or 30%, what would you do? Will you take care of yourself? Will you eat well? Will you exercise regularly? Or you should advance screening first? Classic case I usually share among the other stage. It's Angelina Jolie. Everybody know her. She's a superstar of Hollywood. And one day she go test for her gene. She knows she's having the breast cancer gene, which is probably 30 or 25% that may have developed to the cancer in the future. She decided to remove her breast tissue. That's very, very bold decision, but it is. What about us? You know, sitting among here, 10 to 12.5% people carry cancer genetics. Do you know it? You don't know it, right? Unless you go to test it. This trend is coming. You know in advance, you prevent in advance, so you less get sick. Look at these two pictures. Imagine yourself, which side would you like to be in the future? You want to grow old, you get healthy, you're living a better life, or you have money, but you stay on the bedridden. Your choice. Okay, touching about the genomic and the future medicine of health, as I mentioned earlier, you know precisely what's going to happen to you. Action it, take action, prevent it, know it further, know it first, and then prevent it before it's too late. Coming to other high technologies, you know, AI, everyone is talking about AI nowadays. In the medical world as well, we are adapting the AI, especially for the field of diagnostic. This helps our doctors a lot by detecting. You know, I'm talking about the Bumrungrad. We are having the AI for the imaging screening, chest X-ray, mammogram, CAT scan, and the other fields like the gastroscopy. This helps our doctors to focus more what is going to happen, what is a disease, and helps better outcome to the patient. Number two is building a strong healthcare network. Digital healthcare. Everyone carrying what? Smartphone. I believe that some of you in this room, you wearing Apple Watch, Garmin, wearable device. Why? You want to know your health, you want to make it better, you want to live healthier. And this is as well. This is a future healthcare in digital, that the picture that I borrowed from Deloitte. Academic, private, and public hospital, that we are looking for. At the moment, for my hospital, we are collaborating with the leading medical school in Thailand as well. So we want to go together. Because of the private sectors, we focus on the treatment and what's the advanced technology for the patient. But we need a friend, we need a partner to support on academic as well. There is one phrase that I like it. It's probably the ancient word or something. It's like, if you walk alone, you go fast. But if you go together, you go further. So it means if we go together, we have a partner, we can go far. Now come to attract foreign patients and investment. I've touched a little bit about this. So Bumrungrad, we focus on the high quality, high standard, and we are ranking as the best hospital in Thailand and one of the top 130 best hospital in the world, as well as the other excellent centers that we focus on. For attracting the medical travel for patients who get sick, what type of disease that make the patient decide to buy the ticket and fly across the sea a few thousand kilometers away here? It must be sick enough, As we cancer, the brain surgery, heart surgery, or that service is not available in their home, or they have to wait for a long queue coming here. Okay, I'm gonna end my presentation in a few slides. So talking about the quality and standards, the JCI, 62 hospitals in Thailand, they got JCI accreditation, which is well accepted worldwide. And we are the first hospital in Thailand. On the far side, on the right, it's a CAP. It's called the College of American Pathologists. This is a certification to ensure the quality of the laboratory. You are good and up to the standard. Let's see, imagine the lab. What is the lab's play roles in the treatment? The surgeon is like a tutor. Lab is like a marker or the guide. The guide, if you guide to the right target, if you mark to the right target, the surgeon or the tutor will hit right to the target, right? But if your lab's guide not right to the target, wrong or something, so it can occur to the treatment outcome. This mark, it's just ensure that your lab is hit to the target. All right, so just touch a little bit about the patient's journey coming to Thailand for treatment. So mostly for international patients, before they come, they have to have some information, right? So they will submit our initial information to a hospital. We consult with our specialists, get back to them with a treatment plan, how much does it cost, how long they have to stay in the hospital, how long they have to stay in town after follow-up. So they have to decide, and sometimes they have to prepare their family, take the money, and fly to Thailand, get treatment done, and go home. So this geographically is I'm showing just Bumrungrad patients. Majority is our Southeast Asian because we are in Southeast Asian country, and half of our patient is Thai, another half is non-Thai. Middle East, the second largest market, a very key important roles. Imagine, so for Middle East, I'm talking about majority of the GCC countries, Qatar, Kuwait, UAE, Oman, and what is our high hope is Saudi Arabia, which is our two speakers we'll discuss later. So we have a patient from the Ethiopia, Kenya, Mongolia, and fields all over the world. Yeah, I mentioned this before for Bumrungrad. And I think this is my final slide. So Bumrungrad, we aim to be the most trusted healthcare and wellness destination. Looking forward, probably we will discuss this later. Thailand is not just a medical tourism, but a hub of advanced healthcare and technology and service. Strong healthcare ecosystem collaborations, precision medicines and wellness in the futures of healthcare. Thank you.
Thank you for your insight, Dr. Dipat. You can say that Thailand private hospital offer a wide range of top-notch medical services. However, we cannot overlook the role of the government in this regard. Dr. Akharapon, could you share how the government can bolster the growth of this sector even further in the future, and what the role of government in this segment?
Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, Thank you so much for invite government sector to join in this event today. The private, you never walk alone. You will be supported with the government sector. And the question why Thailand to be the capital healthcare in regional and the world, it is very important about this question. So about the linkage of the driving medical hub policy, Mr. Chairman is the Prime Minister of this board. Level 1 of planning is the national strategy building competitiveness, especially in the health industry. It's the new engine curve of industry. And level 2, we have about the 13 national economic and social development plan. The milestone, Thailand wants to be the capital of the healthcare and wellness of the regional and the world. This is a level 2 plan. And level 3 plan is the strategy to driving and fostering Thailand to be there. We have 3 major strategies. One, to how to comprehensive medical industry to be competitiveness. And about the strategy number 2, what is the ecosystem we will support, not only regulation, what we are the pigeon to support. The government role is not only for the ego, but we become to be the pigeon to support the private sector. And strategy number 3 is, it is very important, marketing and the public. It is, so we will have TAT adhere, it is very important to do. And this is a new issue in Thailand. We call medical and wellness Wale. It's the new initiative. Because if we want to do about the ecosystem, not only for the service, but we have to provide for the production of any equipment, medical device, and also manpower also. And research, it is very important to become capital of the world. So we will initiative of the medical and wellness Wale at here. This is the new concept and new idea to push in Thailand. And how to negotiation. We never let for private sector walk alone. When we will have negotiation with the GCC, especially the new market is the Saudi Arabia, how to negotiate for the public funding for reimbursement in Thailand. This is the government sector. Also, not only the FTA, we push the importance to negotiation FTA Thai EU in the service sector, also in the area of health and wellness. This is the pattern to do. I think speaking, the next we'll talk about what is the importance of the GCC. Visa, we will provide about the ecosystem. If you want to fly to Thailand, we welcome all nations. We call medical treatment visa for multiple entry, valid for 1 year. Except for pattern and 3 followers, welcome to Thailand for treatment. It is the medical tourism visa. And also for the wellness tourism visa. You want to stay 1 year or you want to stay 10 years, we will have visa to ecosystem about that in the slideshow. This is the data that, how about the market value of Thailand? If you point to the wellness is the big picture in the future, not only for the treatment for the cancer, cardiovascular, or orthopedics, but in the green bar, we will share about the data of the revenue per capita. Quite a limit number of patients to fly to Thailand, but the revenue is very high for the wellness. The most is the sex reassignment. Thailand is very popular for sex change in the world. Or bariatric surgery, how to rate reduction. It is a new concept, not only to get ill, then you treat it, but wellness, you will get stronger and longevity. This is the data. and why Thailand want to charming in the future. We will showcase of the World Expo at Osaka, Kansai next year. We will show inspiration of Thailand to be the medical hub of the world. Thank you.
Yeah, quite aspirational presentation ครับ Dr. อัครพล Dr. อัครพล just touched on the importance of the Middle East market and the wellness tourism คุณสิริปกรณ์ครับ could you share your idea since you expert on this segment could you share idea how medical tourism especially the Middle East market could support the growth for private sector in the medium term?
So thank you very much and good afternoon. First of all, thanks for having TAT on this panel as well. And thanks to our co-panelists that you mentioned about the wellness is the futures of the healthcare service of the world. For TAT, we positioning ourselves as the promoter, providers, and also facilitators. What is a promoter? We have 29 overseas offices around the world. So we work and collaborate with all the potential partners, including the medical and wellness tourism in the futures. And I would like to, well, thank you, our co-panelists, in terms of the vision of the best medical tourism of the world. But please include the wellness tourism into your vision as well, please. So today, as the provider, I'm going to share you with the data. I think the data-driven is still working for the future as well. We better understanding our potential customer. So that's why I've got a few pages of the slide, which I'm very happy to share with you after this. So you don't have to take pictures on the screen. Better take our panelist pictures instead, you know. Yeah, that's right. So let's start with the overview, recap. The Thailand tourism industry. The best year ever for international travel to Thailand was 2019, the pre-pandemic year. That year we welcomed more than 40 million international travelers to Thailand. And why we divided into short haul and long haul? For TAT, we have two different international marketing team for long haul and short haul. Long haul, that means you fly more than 6 hours, for instance. Except the Oceania, Australia and New Zealand is also responsible by the short haul market. So this is why we would like to look at the data. Pre-pandemic year, long haul market, including the Middle East, is shared by 23% in terms of number. But after, during the pandemic, let's say it's turned upside down because most of the Europeans, America, and Middle East, they are the one who, got vaccinated faster than the Eastern countries. So that's why Eastern world. So that's why for those vaccinated, they're eligible to come to the destination like Thailand. Flight reception is good. So that's why we would like to keep this bless you. I don't know who, Yeah, that's right. Okay. Well, for the we keep this momentum to the future as well. So our target in terms of numbers is still 27%. It's much more than the pre-pandemic year. What else? Importantly, it's not the quantities, but it's also about the qualities. Quality tourists like health, medical tourists as well to Thailand. Again, 2019, we share in terms of revenue by 33%, but look at the moment, it's increasing. We would like to keep this momentum with the high-value tourists, quality tourists. Health and medical tourists is one of our target segment, for instance. So make it easier in terms of revenue. We target for long haul is 40% share by the long haul market. So focus to the Middle East market. Middle East, down into the middle. Middle East in orange, that means the pre-pandemic year 2019. Green is last year when we fully reopened the countries, welcome 28 million visitors. And also this year, the great resumptions of the flight service and connectivities. We got a very good start. We got a very good futures as well for Middle East because for the first 7 months, it's more than the last year. That even more than the pre-pandemic year because the new rising star Saudi Arabia, as our co-panelist mentions, and also the returnings, the great resumptions of the flight connectivity as well. So next, Yes, this one, the seasonalities, because everyone, you are so expertise, you're professional. What TAT could do is provide this information, intelligence data to you on each Europe, Americas, they got seasonalities, high season, off-peak season, green season. But what about the Middle East? When the Europeans and America would drop during summer holiday, the Middle East, they are very good, fill up with the numbers from Middle East because it's crew break holidays, July, August, and the weather, the conditions is quite warm in that source market. So it's hot, actually, not warm, very hot at the moment. So they're looking forward to a destination like Thailand, cool climate, rain season, rainfall, because in their countries maybe once in a year, for the raining rainfall. So this is why I would reassure everyone again, the Middle East market is very important to Thailand tourism industry overall. And then if we look at each countries from the GCC and also Middle East on the left column in green, you can see Saudi Arabia, UAE, Oman, Kuwait, and Iran among the top 5 in terms of numbers. So another key challenges, flight connectivity. Look at the Middle East. The last 2 columns, 2019 and this year, 2014, this summer, which is going to end of this October for the summer slot for the international flight connectivities. This year, great resumption. When summer slot is even more than the pre-pandemic year, where we are the most success, 40 million international visitors. So I think this is a good sign to promote and let's say boost more numbers from the Middle East. What about this winter? November, December, January next year, February, is still, the momentum is still good, 150% in comparison to 2019, the flight connectivity. So that's why the TAT moving forward in terms of airline focus strategies. We work with our potential allies, which I'm going to explain a little bit more later. More importantly, not just the number of flights, not just the actual operatings, but the seat load factors, cabin factors, to sustain the business of the airlines as well. Look at the Middle East, of course. The total for the first half of the year, load factors is approximately 80% of the seat capacities. But I think look at the numbers of flight because they got more varieties, more frequencies. So that's why 80% is good for the airline business. In fact, 70% is good enough to survive the business of airlines. So if they got 80%, that means they will keep continuing to increase in flight for this coming winter as well. So this is 12 airlines from the Middle East to the destination of amazing Thailand with numbers of more than 200 flights per week, direct connecting with the Middle East to Thailand destination. And look at the below left, the upcoming flight in this coming winter, 2nd of December, we were just got confirmed by the Saudi Airlines, our potential ally partner from Saudi Arabia, national carrier, that they're going to increase not only Riyadh and Jeddah to Bangkok, but Riyadh and Jeddah to Phuket 6 flights per week. This is another great opportunities for in particular, Saudi Arabia. So Middle East market, just to give you a snapshot of the Saudi Arabia, UAE, Oman, Kuwait. I don't go into details because I'm going to share this slide to everyone after this. But you can see the rising star were from Saudi Arabia, UAE, good numbers. And in particular, the Saudi Arabia, thanks to the Royal Thai government, to reactivate the diplomatic relationships between 2 kingdoms after 32 years of suspensions of diplomatic relationship, which is, let's say, between Thailand and Saudi Arabia were just open and reconnect 2 years ago. Look at the numbers and the futures. So the Middle East, ME, that's mean not me, not you, but of course Middle East key market segment. This is a fantastic 4 key target segment for tourism of Thailand and the Thai industry, including the former president of Thai Hotel Association, who is sitting over there as well. Thank you, Pimu Krap. So the family and Gen X among the key target, and also millennials, health and wellness, of course. The market size approximately 20% share. They are very important. Honeymooners, of course. So key trend, I've got another few pages of the slide. The key trends of 2024 and 25, luxury travelers, slow holidays, sustainability, AI planning, Gen X, delve into the detail a little bit. The Gen X traveler who were born 1965 to 1980s, they are, in the next 5 years, they are the one who dominate, the most spender in the market because they own the company. They got really high ranking position at the moment and much more plus the brazier market on the second right. You can see the braziers in terms of the tourism industry globally. They recognize the brazier market is one of the very important because it's combined the business plus leisure. So that's why they call brazier segment. This is very important. And also health medical tourism. Next is number 2 is luxury traveler with wellness exclusive experience. You can see with wellness, a good combinations of the luxury traveler because they spend more. The estimate market size is 6 to 9 million from the GCC population. I'm talking about the high spender, the upmarket potentially is approximately 10 millions. And let's say they are in the details. The most popular times to destination is always during summer, June, July, August, which actually to let you know that I talked to our tour operators and agents this morning regarding the forward book for this coming August, the end of August and next September. They said Thailand destination it increased by between 20 to 40% bookings year on year compared with last year. 40% increase, depends on the source market. So this is the information that I would like to share with you. Slow holidays or slow travel, that means more meaningful travel, immersive experience, stay longer, is very good aligned with the Thai government policy of long stay visa and also the kind of the destination Thailand visa or visa exemption who can stay longer up to 60 days. Sustainability is the key moving forward to everyone, please. Distinguished guests. Look at the bottom left. 83% from the UAE, one of a very good example. In the next three years, this will be the very big agenda for all those UAE travelers. Very happy to pay more for environmental friendly accommodation, no single-use plastic, more waste management, and combined with the local benefit, not monopolize into that communities. This is the futures together with the wellness, luxuries, and also the sustainabilities. So AI holidays, digitalizations, 50% from UAE and KSA, that means Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. We did a quick survey and we talked to potential stakeholders. They say that more than 50% they use AI. I mean the customer, they use AI to help them plan and research. Why? Because it's faster, it's trustable, and also is kind of, according to the customer behavior as well, devices, the wearable devices that my co-panelist mentions, cost and time saving as well. This is the key trend. And what else? The last few pages of the slide, I would like to focus. This is last year, the first half of last year. Length of stay spending, but more important, it increasing this year. If you could remember, the length of stay increased from 10 to 12.5 days in average. Spending person per trip is more than 100,000 rather than less than 100,000 last year. And look at the medical care and treatment. They are main purpose to visit Thailand, 91%. Of course, the varieties of attractions still, gastronomy is still very important. So, and the way they book a trip is online booking, as I mentioned, according to survey, is kind of AI, let's say, bookings system. So last one that I would like to conclude my first round is also about Thailand Wellness Hub. According to the Thai government, we are in progress and we still keep carry on the Andaman Wellness Economic Corridor. For instance, a good cluster in terms of health and wellness, and also the Royal Course of Thailand Wellness Rohin and Cha'am. This is just a good example, just would like to share with you as TAT, the provider of tourism industry. Thank you.
Thank you so much ครับคุณศิปกร As an equity analyst, recently I got many questions regarding news that Thailand had restored relationship with Saudi Arabia, and people speculate that this could be a new potential growth for medical tourism in Thailand. I'm not sure, Dr. Akrapol or Kun Sripakon, could you share your progress on the PAN initiative to increase the collaboration, especially in the medical tourism world?
Thank you so much for this question. If you remember slide, I showed you about the 6 countries of GCC. 5 country reimbursement process in Thailand already. We waiting only Saudi Arabia. 30 million citizens. Public health funding is very important. We will design and negotiate with the government agency, especially Ministry of Health, Saudi Arabia, and Ministry of Public Health, Kingdom of Thailand, to agree to sign MOU together. One aspect is the health insurance. We will sign together in the next 1 or 2 months by Minister of Health together. So we will open the door for a new market in the Saudi Arabia. And after that, we will talk about the details for about the public health fund. And also, we will have about private insurance also. This is the new chapter of the Saudi Arabia in the GCC.
Thank you so much. According to you, thank you for the topic as well regarding the Saudi Arabia. Let me tell you, I'm explaining a little bit about our positioning TAT ourselves as a promoter, provider, and what about the facilitator? The facilitators, we are the one who connect the dot. So that's why we have 29 overseas offices working with our potential partner in the market and also in Thailand. Just to let you know that the GCC countries and also the Middle East now look after by one single office in Dubai. They look after for the whole GCC, Middle East, and South Africa as well. But within next year, we are in progress to open and set up the new office in Riyadh for next year. Saudi Arabia look after for some GCC country as well, and to facilitate and work more with the potential partners. And I think my vision or my strategies in terms of Middle East, it's just like the very familiar wording of USB. I think everyone knowing USB. It's kind of computer system, the the connecting between our devices and the host controller of computer system, USB. But for Middle East, for TAT, we believe that USB is good for this market. It's different letters. U is mean understanding. S as mean seeing. B is mean believing. So that means you have to understanding. Seeing is believing for this potential customer. For instance, Saudi Arabia, 32 years. We never connect. For 32 years, diplomatical, relationship was suspended. So that's why they don't believe that Thailand is got a very good service like Bamrungrad Hospital. They never heard about this, The best hospital in the world, what's that? 32 years, never been there. Of course, my uncle, my father, my grandfather were there, but I didn't. I've got money, I got times, I've got, to spend, but I don't believe that Thailand is good for, hospitalization. So that's why you used to understand behavioral and then to believe that the seeing is believing. So that's why for TAT, as a promoter, provider, facilitator, we also host the FAM trip, the familiarization trip, to invite the potential customer, potential partners from in-market, Saudi Arabia as well, work with the allies, to come to Thailand, see by their own eyes, experience by themselves, and then talk and spreading the wording of how good of the hospitalization in Thailand under the government support. So this is one of the ways that we could work together in the futures. Next, not only invite them to be here, ourselves, yourself, everyone, including Dr. Ton from the Bamrungrad as well, from time to time, we host the travel trade and roadshow to the market. For instance, next month, 15 and 17 of September, I'm going to Saudi Arabia for the travel trade show and also to Kuwait. So that means combine Saudi Arabia and Kuwait market. And we got at least 33 CEOs, private sectors from Thailand, including the wellness businesses, to be there and talk to the hundreds of the potential partners to let them believe, confidence, trust in our service, and to present them with what is the information that you may need, that they may need. So this is the way that we could work together. And also just this month, from 18 and 21, we also organized the Middle East Trade Meet to Bangkok and Krabi. We invite 20 potential partners, super potential partners from the GCC countries to meet with private sector, including the wellness and health service in Bangkok and Krabi. This is the way that I would like to conclude my presentation today, USB, understanding that seeing is believing for the Middle East market. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We have discussed a lot about the Middle East market, but the world is big. Dr. Nipat, any other markets that you think that has potential to be a new growth for Thailand Medical Tourism Hub?
Okay, speaking of the opportunities, that I will elaborate more in terms of the market size. You see, from Bamung Rat, it's still the numbers of the patient, international patient, is Myanmar. Why? Myanmar is the longest border between Thailand and Myanmar, and there are 56 million populations. So I'm talking about Bamung Rat first. Cambodia and Bangladesh is the second and the third. Cambodia, how many populations? 16 something million. Bangladesh is 200 millions. So what we are looking for in another opportunities, I think everyone is eyes for China, but China is pretty large. Speaking of China, we target like Tan Sipakorn mentions, we want to focus on the short haul because one of the major factor for the medical travel, you sick, so if you fly longer than 6 hours to get treatment, you have to think second times. So within the 6 hours, the short haul flights, think about the Kunming, Yunnan, 50 million populations, Guangzhou, Chengdu. Also, we are eyes from the Indonesia. Indonesia is a 250 million population. It's a pretty large market. But majority, previously, Indonesians, rich people, they fly to where? Singapore. Because they think that Singapore is one of the best in the region. But what we are doing is we try to introduce ourselves. Hey, here we are. This is our good, the benchmarking, what's good in our advanced technology, our doctor's profile, and this is our price. And we're just not far away from your home. So to me, I think China and Indonesia, not the Saudi Arabia, which is everyone is eyes on that.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Maybe question for you, God asked. Which segment that you think is more interesting between high intensity treatment or the treatment for very difficult disease or wellness, preventive, this kind of segment? Which one do you think is more interesting in your opinion? Yeah, probably you.
Okay. Thank you so much. The market about in the government's the door is open already, but we want to make wider. ASEAN country, CLM, Cambodia, Laos, and Myanmar, and China. And also, open the gate, not open the gate, but make wider of the GCC. Is to make wider of the gate. And to open the door for about the Indonesia, Africa, it is to open the door. So about the moderator asked me for how it's important for about the medical treatment or the wellness. I think everyone sit here want to make wellness, well-being, and longevity. It is a new concept. The revenue of the wellness is very big if compared with the medical service treatment. If you go to the slide before, the revenue per capita, if we compare about the wellness is give more revenue and low cost. if compared with the medical service. So in the future trend, you asked, the new future trend is the wellness. And medical service, it is very important also. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Just to add on a little bit regarding the wellness tourism. I got a very good example. 10 years ago, I was working with TAT London office, and then that time we would like to promote more on medical tourism. And then we talk about the potential of the dental holiday package, dental holiday, dental treatment, you know. But that time it was stuck with the liabilities, to be honest. We are the promoter, but we need a certified body, we need a accreditation body like Bamlung Lat, Dr. Ton was just mentioned, and also our friends, Dr. Ning mentioned as well. That time we're stuck with the liabilities, the accreditation, and also the kind of certified body. So they said, if they sell dental holiday package to Thailand, who's gonna take full responsibilities if they got infected after the treatment. So that's why we shift a little bit to the much more potential market, wellness tourism. Wellness to preventions of the health longevities. So that's why at the moment, currently, and also in the futures, medical tourism is among the key important in terms of the trust and confidence for destinations like Thailand, but health and wellness preventions is our key focus for the future. Thank you.
We probably have one last note for everyone. Do you have any last note to share with our audience today? Maybe start with Kunapat.
For the medical tourism, I think it's one of the key revenue bringing to our countries. And according to the Thailand's endowment, and we have beautiful beaches, scrumptious food, Thai hospitalities. I think we can go further. We can develop more if we help together with the support of the government. And thank you.
Kun Siripakon.
Well, I'm talking about the work-life balance and also the living lifestyle of the potential customers. Of course, the medical wellness are very important, but think about this. Majority segment of the Thailand destination is now family, a big family as well, in particular for Middle East countries, family of 5, family of 6, and they come to Thailand as family. You go, the husband may go to the admit at the hospital for medical treatment, but the rest of the family can still enjoying, just like shopping, dining, experiencing. You know, this is the way, just like business and leisure, but this is kind of the medical wellness plus leisure travel to Thailand. This is, I think, we can collaborate more in the future. Thanks.
Dr. อัครพลครับ
The last for about the position and shining of the medical hub of Thailand. The government, especially Ministry of Public Health, we sure that we will become about the capital city of health and wellness of the world. Thank you.
After this section, I hope that you agree with us that Thailand medical tourism has a bright prospect for the country, and Thai healthcare sector could continue to outperform the market for years to come. Thank you so much for your attention today. ขอบคุณครับ
Thank you very much, panelists and moderator, for a very fascinating discussion. Ladies and gentlemen, for the next session, how Thailand is transforming its supply chain with digital innovation. We are privileged to welcome individuals who have played a pivotal role in crafting this digital transformation as they share their experiences and insights with us. We have Country Managing Director, Accenture Thailand, Ms. Pathama Chantalak, Country Manager, Amazon Web Services Thailand, Mr. Watsan Thirapattharapong, and Chief Executive Officer, Blue Big Group, Mr. Pochara Araya Kankun. Our Executive Vice President, the Stock Exchange of Thailand, Mr. Nat Leung Naramichai, will be our moderator for the session. So, ladies and gentlemen, please join me to welcome all the panelists and moderator on the stage.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today, let me welcome you to our session on how Thailand is transforming its supply chain with digital innovation. My name is Nat Leungmechai, and I'm happy to be a moderator for today's session. We have a lot of panelists who actually have a lot of experience in building digital innovation and technology in Thailand. And then they're going to share insight today on how they're going to help Thailand into performing the digital innovation in supply chain management and its impact on Thailand economy. As we all know, the global supply chain landscape is undergoing the transformation significantly in Thailand. It's driven by the rapid change in terms of technology, vary from cloud technology, data center, digital innovation, and especially AI, in which we promised, we were discussing today who's gonna say AI first. This innovation are not just transforming how business operate, but it's also shape the future of economy worldwide as well. Today, we will explore how this technology are being leveraged to enhance efficiency, resilience, sustainability, and competitiveness in Thailand supply chain. Thank you for all of you for being here today. Before we're going to start, we're probably going to start first with Khun Watsan to explain about how Amazon Web Service is going to help shape Thailand in this one. So Amazon Web Services recently has committed to invest $5 billion in Thailand, especially in the cloud and data center technology. So could you discuss on some recent trends in investment in data centers and technology around the world, especially in Thailand, and how this trend are enhancing the country's competitiveness in this era?
Yep. Thank you. And first of all, thanks for having me here. And it's an honor to be on the same panel with these two distinguished panelists. In fact, we have known each other for quite a long time, but haven't met on the panel for quite some time. Just now, Kunat was mentioning during the briefing session that when you were in the US, you were looking to request that there is this investment coming to Thailand 5 years ago, right? But that doesn't success. So in fact, it's my pleasure that the success actually did happen during this time. And I think I would say that it's one of the most accomplished tasks that I can declare that as a long-time digital and IT professional. This is once in a lifetime kind of investment that I will see in my career. So we recently announced that we have almost complete our construction, and this is going to be launched in 2025. And this is the largest hyperscaler data center for Thailand. Investment is $5 billion, which is close to 190 billion Thai baht. So I think that's a massive amount of investment. And frankly, I can write a book because when we were battling with some of our neighbor countries, at the time was Vietnam, who also is trying their best to attract investment as well. So it was a long 6-month battle debate and where the country should, okay. Sorry, I think that's AI. I didn't mention Siri, right?
Oh, you mentioned AI first.
Okay. So I think that's a real 6-month journey where we have to challenge each other, because when AWS is going to invest in any country, there's a long list of what the expectation should be, what are the criteria, for example, like how is the adoption of the government in terms of the digital adoption in that country, what is the stability of energy in the country, what are the network infrastructure stability in the country, which of course this afternoon we were saying that Thailand is probably one of the best in terms of network infrastructure. Right? The professional skills and the workforce is also another area that we look very closely. And I have to say that 6 months is a very intense discussion and debate, and it's fortunate that we finally managed to win the battle, and that's where the investment of this $5 billion is coming to Thailand. And last year alone, we already inject the FDI of about 13 billion Thai baht into the country. So that is a big testament in terms of how AWS see the future of the country. So enough about like how we debate with our neighbor. I think the question now most people will ask like that, what's in it for us as a Thai citizen, right? So maybe I'll share a quick snapshot of normally when AWS invests in any country with such a massive amount of investment, there normally will be 3 areas that will come as a byproduct, right? First of all is the innovation. Of course, we talked about AI this morning, and no one is going to miss the word AI. But think about if an organization wants to do AI, what you really need, for sure, infrastructure is the GPU, the high performance computing. If you are going to order a GPU now, imagine how long it takes. I think at least 6 months to a year. And that will never happen if you are a small and medium business. So what we see is that now we are creating a level playing field for small and medium business to be able to compete with large organizations. So if you are small firms, you want to use AI capability, now you have the chance to do it. So that's the first one where we create a level playing field innovation for companies of any size. And secondly, elevate, right? I think another area which people always tend to forget is people is probably one of the most important area. We lack of skill, and if we look at how much skill we need in terms of AI, right? From our survey, like 94% of the company that we survey said they would like to jump into this AI bandwagon, but only 64% are able to find skilled workforce who are proficient in terms of AI. So that's a big gap, right? So when AWS invest in any country, one of the mandate is we will commit to train, to build the skilled workforce of the country. So for Thailand, we commit to build 100,000 professionals by year 2026. And then last but not least, accelerate, right? Which is things related to partners, to how we enable the ability of our customers to leverage the cloud technology. For example, these 2 panelists are my partner in crime. So we work closely with them through investment funding, through programs in terms of how we leverage our partners to deploy and build services on top of it. Right? So if I can use some analogy, right? We are building the power plant, and we need our partners to help us to bring the electrical appliance and plug it into this power plant electric outlet. So maybe I leave it here, and then hopefully we can explain more for the next stage of the investment.
Okay. Thank you, Kun Watson. He already mentioned that he already started building a huge power plant, and then now he's going to build the electrical supply and then make sure that everyone is using it. So Kun Pochara, Bluebeak actually have been like, a consultancy, especially in the technical area for a long time. And then can you help describing like, what you actually have been doing with like Thai corporates, how you actually help them transform the digital transformation in this area?
Yeah, sure. I think right now, a lot of corporates basically they're trying to be more competitive in a volatile economy like this. And one of the key areas is supply chain, obviously, because supply chain is virtually the backbone of every business, and also in terms of economy as well. So in supply chain, there are a lot of things that can be improved using digital innovations and obviously cloud technology as well. For example, a lot of processes can be automated, right? Like right now, if you talk about decision to, let's say, to produce the goods, to procure raw materials, things like that, everything can be digitized. We can utilize like analytics or AI. I mentioned it, the second. But also we can automate some of the physical tasks as well. We can use robots, and we can use digital application, things like that, to reduce the manual tasks, right? So these are some of the things that can save costs very easily, and also it increase the ability to make good decisions. It improve the accuracy of the decision. So that's probably the very clear objective that we can achieve in a very short period of time to save cost. And also another thing that corporates are looking for is agility. So nowadays, like when you move everything to digital systems, like sometimes you need to make changes to your processes. You need to, maybe when you extend your business into new areas, you need to implement new systems, things like that. And having a cloud technology like this, basically it really improves time to market, right, of the system implementation. So when you can, basically when you find new software or new applications that you want to use in your supply chain, you can just pick and select it from the cloud, and obviously you can bring it to the market very quickly. I think another thing is on the stability of the supply chain as well. Like once you rely a lot on the digital systems, like having a cloud technology basically improves the stability of your system, because when you maintain your own system, there's a risk that the way you maintain your system is not best practice, right? But when you rely on cloud technology, basically you have the best professional looking after this infrastructure. So it basically gives you comfort when you want to digitize the whole process. And I guess another area is also on scalability. When you scale your business very fast, sometimes you basically you can't really invest that much. And obviously with the physical infrastructure, it needs a lot of upfront investment and stuff. And in a volatile economy like this, I think having an option value is also very important. So moving towards cloud basically gives you an option to opt out anytime, or scale down, scale up. When you have like new opportunities, when you have a lot of demand, you can scale up your system, you can scale up your supply chain operations. But once you don't have enough demand, you can scale down as well, and that reduces the cost of running the business. So these are some of the things that digital innovations plus cloud can help the business.
Thank you very much. Now let's turn the table to the, I would say the youngest one in the current role, right? She just became the country managing director at the Accenture for about 2 years, right? I think since April 2022. And then Kun Jeep, can you actually talking about how you first transform the business at Accenture? I know that you have hired a lot of people. You even acquired Rabbit Tails as part of Song Group. And then how do you think that what you transform at the Accenture will actually help Thailand as a whole to, in terms of how to be better at the digital economy?
Thank you. It's such a privilege to share the story, especially after doing my first time as a consulting, right? Working for consulting firm. So now the infrastructure being built, he did a better job than I do. It took him 6 months to convince the investment. It took me a year to do the same thing. So 2.5 years ago, when we realized that there's a lot of gap, there's a lot of challenges in the company or in the organization here in Thailand to transform. People thought it was digitization and that's one is done, right? One and done. It's not the case at all. So what we realized that the company in Thailand facing three big challenges. Number one, there's an infrastructure gap on how they, and number two is how they leverage the diverse set of technologies. And number three, there's a talent gaps. I think, Khun Wasan addressed the infrastructure already. And we realized that we have to do better job in terms of serving our client. So Accenture has 750,000 employees across the world. In Thailand, when I joined, we had close to 1,000 employees. And today we have 5,300 employees in 2 years. Why did we do, and what did we do, right? So to address the gap that we've seen in the organization, we decided that we need to help clients do three things. One, drive cost saving. Number two, help with the efficiency. And number three, drive change management in the organization. Therefore, what we did was that we brought Accenture Operation Intelligence Center to be set up here in the heart of Bangkok. So we addressed the third pillar of talent. A lot of people kept telling me that, talent will be a key, that we can't grow the business here in Thailand. Guess what? We have 17 nationalities now serving in Operations Center here in Thailand, serving global clients. So we help serve the procurement, finance, operations, marketing, and trust and safety. So all five being set up here. And then in order to help clients serve their clients better, we ask for the investment. As a result, now we have Rabbitail. We acquired Rabbitail so that we can set up the digital marketing team or marketing organization here in Thailand. So as Khun Wasan mentioned, being a Thai person working for a global company, one of the jobs that we do is trying our best to pull the investment into the country and hoping, we can serve what's missing here in Thailand. And I think, now looking at how we capable in serving our own clients by having, 70% Thai, 30% from around the world, 17 nationalities working here in Thailand. I think it said a lot about the confidence level of the company like Accenture or AWS to actually looking at Thailand as a center in this region to serve the global customer that we have.
Thank you for your insight. So as we discussed the first round, the audience may not be able to grasp the technical detail of how much a challenge is this in terms of doing this type of digital transformation. So I would like to use this second round to actually discuss in this aspect. So let's first start with Khun Pachara. I think we discussed a little bit earlier about how you actually help the business doing AI and all this transformation, right? And then I know that it's not easy at all. Can you share some example or some case study that you can share with us today?
Yes. I think so basically we have done a lot of digital transformation projects for leading clients, and some of our clients are actually a Thai-owned global company. So they basically sell their products, through to the world. Basically, some of the leading beverage companies are actually in Thailand as well. So one of our clients, who is one of the leading beverage manufacturing company, was looking for a solution to improve their supply chain process. And as I mentioned before, the supply chain is basically the backbone of virtually every business. And to stay competitive in the market, you need to keep the cost down. You need to improve the accuracy of your decision making. You also need to make sure that your supply chain is stable. So this is exactly what the client actually wants as well. So we went through, all the process re-engineering. We also went through, a lot of research to make sure that we find the right technology to improve the process. And one of the major technologies that everyone is talking about right now is AI, right? So looking at the supply chain process right now, you can see that AI can be integrated into a lot of parts in the process. For example, on the production side, first you want to make sure that you produce goods enough for the demand. And obviously you don't want to produce too much, because that's your basically that's the cost as well. That's your capital cost that is sunk into inventory. So what you can do with AI is that you can build a model, basically utilizing all the data from the past and also some of the signals from the market as well, to forecast the demand in the market, so demand forecast. And that, you can use that as an input for your production planning, right? So basically you can plan ahead how much are you going to produce, and also can optimize the way you maintain your machines as well, like predictive maintenance and stuff. So that would reduce the downtime, increase the efficiency, reduce waste. Also, if you look in other parts of the processes, for example, like in terms of logistics, right? You can streamline the logistics. You can streamline how you transport goods from one point to another. And basically, you can use AI to do like route optimizations to reduce the number of times you need to transport, from one point to another. You can also try to, bundle, goods in terms of, to do transportation more efficiently. Also, you can reduce the mistake, right, and reduce the downtime, or reduce the waste on the waiting time, like you go to the wrong route and basically you get stuck in traffic, things like that. So all of these decisions can be incorporated into a model that helps, the business makes decision much faster and much more accurately. So that's something that AI can do. And obviously, we can do some other things on the defensive process as well, like fraud detection and stuff, like on your procurement side, like, because that's probably one of the biggest costs for procurement. Sometimes you can optimize how you procure your raw materials as well. You can bundle some of the orders together to consolidate the suppliers. So these are some of the decision makings that can be optimized using AI. And obviously, in the future, like, we're also looking to extend this project into, to automate some of the processes, like using robots as well, because AI can control some of the robot on site using, the newer technology, the better connectivity. So that's also possible.
And then I think one of the difficult problems is that how you actually measure whether what you invest in actually worth the investment. How do you actually have like IoT or anything like that to help measure like how much you actually save, and then think it's worth the return on investment?
Yeah, I think one of the beauties around analytics or AI is that you can try to simulate, the benefit you can get from the model using the historical data. So that's always the thing that we do first to test the feasibility of the investment using, simple analysis to see if there is any room for improvement in the process. So that would be the target return on investment that we can calculate upfront. But obviously, in real implementation, there could be some deviation in terms of numbers. But I would say in general, we sort of use this kind of methodology to filter out some of the less feasible use cases. and focus more on the more feasible use cases. So that would maximize the ROIs.
Thank you. So next up, Kun Watson. I think AWS actually, even though the local data center is not ready yet, right? But AWS actually have been probably the first cloud provider that started in Thailand. So can you tell me, how AWS actually help customers, especially in Thailand, to do their business better using technology?
Sure. I will put it into stages. One which already been deployed, and the other one is something that we expect to see the incremental new use cases once we have the Thailand region up and running. Right? For the first one, maybe I'll add to what Kun Bot mentioned just now related to one of the supply chain, which is related to demand planning. And this is so crucial because if you are a retail and you are not able to see the demand, end up you are going to have a big chunk of inventory, right? So what we are seeing and what we are doing with one of the convenience store in Thailand is that we are working with them to do the modeling of the demand forecast. And what it means, currently when they are opening a new store, what they do is that they will put the merchandise or things on the shelf based on the profile of the branch. For example, if that convenience store is close to a school, then the profile is school-based branch. If that store is close to, let's say, a hospital, it will become a hospital-based profile. And things that they put on the shelf are completely different because that will determine the overall margin, because they know that if it is school, normally students will buy all those snacks and so on, right? But if it's a hospital, then people will buy like milk and other things that they will give to the patient. So the profile is so important that if they make it right, they get it right, it will save them like 3% of their inventory cost. And that's a lot because if you're talking about like hundreds of thousands of SKU, that saves a lot of money. So right now we are working with them, and so far it has to be using the model, and you have to train them branch by branch. And that's how intensive the use of the GPU, the high performance computing are, right? So that's what we are working with them right now. And another case which is also in retail and very important is probably if you have a chance to visit the convenience store, you will notice that the same SKU, if it's in Don Mueang, in Bangkok, for example, it might cost you like 30 bahts. On the other hand, if you go to Phuket, which is more of a tourist, the exact same SKU or same goods probably going to cost you 35 bahts. And this is where we work with one of our customers to do price optimization, because they know that for each of the branch, the demand is different. And that's where they are able to play around with the price so that they can optimize the margin as well as to lean the inventory. So this is in a retail where we are seeing a lot of usage in terms of how technology can help. For FSI, one of the good example during COVID is with one of the insurance, where you know that if you are going to apply for first class insurance, normally you have to drive your car, they do inspection, and then they will say like how much you are going to cost in terms of the policy that you are going to apply. So with COVID, people doesn't want to drive their car to be inspected. So what they do now is they come out with the computer vision where the person the car owner, just take the video of his car, and then they will send the video to the insurer. And they will use AI to determine like how damaged is the car, and that will apply the amount of fee that they have to pay. So this is another way that technology has enabled people to be more productive. Right? This is stage one. For the stage two, where we are not able to do it yet today, but hopefully with the new region coming into Thailand, which are normally the cases where you require like an immediate response time. For example, for you to fly a drone to do some of the very critical tasks, or maybe just a task like when you're using agriculture and you want to control the drone. The response time that, let's say you want the drone to turn left, but if you have to send the signal all the way from Bangkok to Singapore and come back, it might hit a tree already. So that is something that we are seeing technology where the data center infrastructure is in country where latency is probably reduced by half compared to when you are sending it from Bangkok to Singapore, which is the closest data center right now. So new applications that require instant decision, real-time, and almost near real-time latency. Those are something that we are expecting to see more of those applications in the coming months or years once the region will be launched in Thailand. So I think those are some examples that I see. If you ask, I think the list goes on and on because technology will touch every angle of the business at the moment.
And then I heard it's not just because of the latency, right? There's also some aspect in terms of like legality, the data sovereignties and all that. That's why you require data center in Thailand, right?
I think that's one of the areas that we are starting to see, especially for the financial services, for military, for the government sectors where it was almost a mandate and regulation that data has to reside in country. I think that's also an area where we can have the sovereignty of the data in countries and it will be managed and regulated by the Thai laws. And hopefully with the upcoming virtual banking license, that is also another application that we would expect that the local data center will be able to provide more facility compared to using the data center outside of Thailand.
Okay, thank you. So now last one, now Kun Pathama. I think you have a lot of experience to share, probably even before you join Accenture, because you have experience even helping government area to provide all the helps and necessity during COVID, right? Yeah. And then how you actually use those experience to help transform Thailand even further during your times at Accenture.
Yeah. So thank you for the question. Because if I were to add more on what Kun Wasan just mentioned, I think every company is now on earth trying to be data-driven company, right? You want to have or using data to make the right decision, to be able to grow the business and find even the new S-curve, so that you can sustain, the growth even after COVID. So I think what I've seen happening here in Thailand is that we are early adopter. If you look at it, right, any new technology that being introduced to the world, you've seen Thai people using them more and more. I've seen even blockchain as a good use cases, where we actually using blockchain for government bond, selling government bond, right? And even to drive the transparency, we have one of the largest seafood exporter in the world here in Thailand, right? And when you look at we sell seafood to the world, people now looking at sustainability and they want to know the origin of where the trim or the seafood was cured here in Thailand. And I think the technology, the adoption of the technology now being used for that. However, on the generative AI, we start seeing an excitement a year and a half ago when Gen AI being introduced to the world. It took the world by storm, right? And we've seen lots of people start using them. However, if referring to the morning session, I think on the generative AI, we've seen a little bit of slow in terms of the adoption of the of using Gen AI in the organization. It's not because they don't want to use it, but I think the data becomes a key concern that most of the people don't know how to monetize them. And I think this is the area where whatever you do from, doing the predictive maintenance, trying to predict the future, you need to make sure that the data model is there so that you can make decisions quickly and more accurate. So the fact that we have the infrastructure being set up here in Thailand, not only that, we provide the data sovereignty, we solve the data sovereignty issue, but I think also on the security side, that is also the key. We need to make sure that we protect the data because every investment that's coming to Thailand, they're looking at the infrastructure that's secure and be able to provide, closer as using the edge technology to make that decision. So if I were to look at, cross-industry, financial services, far ahead in terms of leveraging the diverse set of technologies from blockchain, now generative AI, cloud-based decision making so that they can make decisions faster. A lot of modernized application being played into the role. Two, you start seeing cross-industry more and more. And it's not just financial service doing the financial service work, but in Thailand, you see the partnership between telco, financial services, oil and gas. So you've seen cross-industry being, working hand in hand so that they can serve beyond 70 million people here in Thailand, but outside Thailand, given the regional expansion. And number three, in terms of the talent gap, you've seen a lot of companies working hand in hand in co-developing the curriculums with the university. We're not going to wait until the student complete their degree. We're co-creating the curriculum to make sure that, even especially on the security side, we provide the real practice, what's happening in the world, and co-develop that with the professor so that by the time the student complete their degrey, at least the gap in terms of onboarding going to be slim. And I think cross-industry that I've seen now more and more trying to optimize, the infrastructure that being brought in by the technology provider. I have a lot of hope, especially, seeing the growth in terms of how the company drive digital transformation today with the help from the government and also partnership with the private and academy, the university. I see more and more success in that area.
Thank you. So you mentioned something interesting. You're saying Thai people actually are really fast at adopting new, technologies and products, right? But we do not see a lot of startup and unicorns and all those kind of things. Can you mention a little bit, why that's not the case, and do we need that? And then in order for us to actually thrive in this era, do we need those kind of startup, or we can just simply keep transforming Thailand based on what the traditional business?
Yeah, so I guess as Kun Patama mentioned, I think we have a lot of right ingredients for the digital economy. We have one of the best talent in the region, and obviously we have very good digital infrastructure. Like we have AWS coming in as a cloud infrastructure. We have very good connectivity on mobile phones and stuff. So adoption of technology is very high here. If you look at businesses like financial services, like you see that our mobile banking applications is much more advanced than those of other countries, things like that. So we have all the right ingredients. But I think the questions around why we don't have a lot of startups is probably more on the economic context of the country. Like we have a lot of large conglomerates, a lot of large companies that contribute to a big portion of the economy. And that's basically how the economy is run right now. And also I would say a lot of startups right now, they only look at the local market. And that's probably too small to attract investments from other countries and stuff. But I guess like in the future, we might see something more interesting, like the partnership between big corporates and startups. That might be a success, key success factors, or maybe a recipe for success in the future. Because we'll see that since corporates are very strong in Thailand, like big corporates dominate the market. But innovation really, I would say, initiates mostly from smaller companies who really don't have legacy systems, things like that. So partnership between these two types of companies would bring the best of both worlds. And as we have the right ingredients, I think I'm quite optimistic, for the future. Like we see a lot more partnerships. We see a lot of CVC, corporate venture, and money from them and strategic partnership from them to the startup would be much more beneficial from compared to just money from pure financial investors.
Okay. And then on Kun Watsan's side, right? I think when I was at AWS, I saw a lot of startups using AWS because it's so easy to start it up and then you can turn it off when you don't use it, right? So do you think that you're gonna see a lot of that kind of impact in Thailand when AWS fully open the region in the local region?
Yeah, sure. I think for us, we were born from the startup community, right? Because that's where the developers normally will be the first one who use cloud as a platform. I think most, if not all, of startup, and you ask them what is a server or how a server looks like, they probably don't even know how it looks like. So that's something that you can imagine how were they born. So we call them like born in the cloud organization. But having said that, given that there are so many factors, underlying factors that underpin the success of how a startup can become a unicorn, I think probably it's beyond the conversation here. But what we are expecting that with the coming of the region in Thailand, we will be the infrastructure that enable the local startups to at least make it easier for them to deploy their first idea. Because like what Jeff Bezos says, right? He the founder of Amazon, he said like the innovation comes with different shape and form, right? But the one that allows and empower the others to unleash their full potential and pursue their dream is something that Amazon and AWS is building. And that's what we expect the startup to leverage this platform to be creative, to build their dreams. And I think to be unicorn and not let the other parties, probably the government, to draw more attention of the VC. But at least you get the foundation right, get the developer communities able to build their talents. I think that's the first stage that we need to make sure that this is addressed.
And Kun Pathama, since you, as I mentioned earlier, you work with a lot of startup during COVID time, right? Do you see some hopes that those companies will actually thrive in the futures and become much bigger and contribute to be a part of Thai economy?
Yeah, I think most of the startup I've seen here in Thailand has a lot of potential. Play to your strength by leveraging, the infrastructure that being built by the company like AWS, or even the well-established company like Accenture. Use us to get to, the global market, because we can actually leverage, the company here in Thailand, and to serve the clients in the world. And that's what we actually using, or partnering with a lot of local company, even Bluebit, right? Because an example that I want to give, like the operation center that we set up here in Thailand, guess what? 5 global clients. If I name it, you know all, right? And it's being served from the heart of Bangkok. And we actually look into partnering with, the startup to even get them, to explore more opportunity outside Thailand. As I mentioned, 70 million people cannot be your customer. It has to be 5 billion people in the world. And you can only do that with technology. It's not how we use technology anymore. It's how we live technology and make sure that we be able to leverage the platform that being built here in Thailand and get to the clients outside. And keep in mind, when you look at the business model, now in the past you have business to consumer. Now you start seeing more and more, the manufacturing to consumer directly. They're trying to cut the middle person, right? Because technology allowed the manufacturing to be able to do that. And I want to make sure that we recognize, how important that all of us has to adopt to the new way of doing business. And make sure that even, myself, I have to keep up with the technology all the time, even with AI that came out. I spend Sunday all day learning how to use each of the tools to make sure that, I can keep up and I can talk to the young generation. So I think, the young generation thinking about, having your own business. I seen the growth in the startup that using Gen AI as a way, to drive the new business model. This is the opportunity, and I strongly believe here in Thailand, given the geographic location, we in the heart of, I think, Southeast Asia, and with the infrastructure that being brought to the country, the world is in our hands. And I can still, confirm that even today, the 5,000 is just employees that we have, it's just the beginning. We aim to get to 10,000 in 2 years' time, and we firmly believe that we can serve, the world from here in Bangkok, using the infrastructure that being built, using the talents we find here in Thailand, and using, the infrastructure, the policy, the rules, and everything that, open up, for investor to come and, invest here in Thailand. There's a lot of opportunities to leverage that.
Okay. And then since we are going to come to a close soon, so I would like each one to actually give some comment, and this would be a surprise question, right? So I would like to see how each one of you actually think how Thailand is going to be like, in 5 or 10 years' time, and then how your business can actually be a part of that transformation.
Yeah, I think it's very clear in my mind that Thailand is moving towards digital economy. And I would say, the world is being globalized right now, so there's really no boundary between like countries. Like, we are moving towards FTA and stuff. So we will see more Thai companies competing in a world stage. And obviously that would drive the company to be more competitive. They need to adopt the technology to be more competitive. And the only way is to adopt digital technologies, right? So I would say that we will see a lot more innovations that are built and adopted, by Thai companies. We will see a strength of the companies being improved. And I think since, I mentioned before, I think Thailand has all the right ingredients. We have, the right talent, even though our labor cost is probably higher than some of other countries. But, with the new technologies like AI and stuff, I'm very sure that we can leverage the strength of the talent we have, combining with, the AI technologies, and we can be more efficient than before. And obviously, since we are so open-minded, to the new technologies, we will be fast adopters of more technologies. So very clear, in 5 or 10 years, we'll be more digital-oriented. Some of the companies might be even digital-first companies, and I'm very sure that our economy is going to grow very fast in the digital era.
I second that to what Kun Bot mentioned, right? We are confident that this is going to be the hub, at least for CLM countries, where obviously they will also need to elevate their usage of cloud, and we can be the hub for that purpose. So now what I need from each one of you is, given that investment is here, so I need you to help to use our cloud, because otherwise in maybe 2 years from now you won't see me. But joke aside, I think that's, we already started looking into the expansion phase already. So we are very confident that the country is moving towards the direction in terms of the digital adoption. So maybe if I can leave with a few things, probably there are 3 areas that I would like our organization in Thailand to be mindful of. One, we talk about skill. So we can't deny that skill and workforce, digital workforce is the #1 area which we would like most of the organizations to double down in terms of the people. We have courses online, offline, whatever you can, just work on it, because I think that's a door opener for lots of things to come. Secondly, is related to cyber security and privacy. I think we haven't mentioned much about that, but it touches all part of the technology, right? Even for example, like we talk about AI, Gen AI, but right now the adoptions to external is still a bit limited, because most people are mindful that you can't predict if there is going to be hallucination that will be generated from Gen AI or not. And if it is, and you're giving that services to someone else external, I'm not sure you are going to be sued or not, right? So that's one of the roadblocks or blockers for Gen AI at the moment. And we see that most of the usage now is internal, because a lot of people want to test it. So frankly, right now we are stuck in the phase where we call proof of concept, and it hasn't passed the chasm to real production that much yet. But we expect this to improve over time, and that should be better when technology gets more mature. And last but not least for me is data. That Kun Jeep mentioned about data, and I have to emphasize that data is really my goal for you. We talk about data monetization in some organization right now, for example, like telco. They are selling the data, for example, when people are stuck in the traffic. They are able to sell that as the good location where people stay there on the traffic, watching the billboard. That's where they're making money of it. Or another good example, and this one I have to give credit to one of our customers in the Bank of Ayutthaya. He said that, I think initially I thought it's a joke, but he said that, he asked us a question, how often that you charge your iPhone or your mobile phone? Some people said that, for myself, like I charge when it's like 20% left, right? if you ask my wife, she keeps charging even though it's 90%, she keeps charging all the time. So they said that this is one of the factors that they use to give the credit rating. She said, like, for example, my wife, who are so paranoid of that, is the best person that they will give the credit to because they will never miss paying you. So this kind of data is something that you have to be mindful that every single data, just only how you know how to use it, will be the gold mine for each of the companies here. And last but not least, for us, Amazon is the largest spender of R&D. We spend $50 billion every year. And we are happy to share how we use our culture of innovation to share with organizations across the world, including Thailand. If you are interested, maybe you can give our representative a call and we will share on how we can leverage technology with innovation using Amazon culture.
Yeah, if I were to add, right, I know some of you still skeptical about how to use generative AI to your benefit. Don't waste time doing proof of concept. In the past year and a half, we've done thousands of proof of concept. Leverage the content we have on the website and the learning that we went through so that you don't waste time or spending money or wasting money on proof of concept. We know by industry how generative AI being used and which one give good return on investment. So that's my number one if I were to leave it, right, with you in the room. Number two, we talk a lot about data and how to monetize data. Data belong to you. Make sure you protect it. The PDPA is become clear that lots of data being hacked. 50 million names and phone numbers and address and all that being stolen. That's why you got all the call from those outside or at the border of Thailand. But make sure that your data is protected. Until you realize that your clients are gone, the data that you've been collecting, you can't monetize the data unless you know how to make relation with those data. So protect them and make sure that you are clear who can have access to those data. And number three, which is key, every industry now leveraging cloud-based so that they can make decision faster. The near real time become key. It's no longer how large your organization is, it's how fast you make decision. You're using data to make decision. So make sure that you choose wisely which cloud you use. And of course, it has to be AWS, of course. And it will help you in a big way because I start seeing more and more companies adopting to cloud-based. And it actually helped them drive business decision even faster. And last but not least, as I mentioned, the technology is here to stay. It's our responsibility as we use the technology, as we in technology company, we're trying to drive responsible AI. We want to make sure that AI being used for the good. Technology can be used in differently. So it's in the hand for us to use technology to drive, a better world, a better future, even sustainability, the responsible AI, and all of the new technology that being used by the kids. Make sure you not be afraid to actually play the part and helping us drive for the better future for Thailand and for the world. Thank you.
Thank you. As we conclude the session, I would like to thank all the panelists for their time and contribution today. And then I hope everyone actually have some more insights on how digital innovation can actually help transforming Thai economy. And then I hope that you enjoy the rest of the session today. Thank you.
Thank you very much all the panelists and moderator for this insightful session. Ladies and gentlemen, climate action is undeniably the prevailing trend today. Our last session today on climate action in Thailand, business opportunities and challenges under new policies. The focus of today's successful business strategies for climate action and sustainability, we received an honor from Deputy Director General, Department of Climate Change and Environment, Mr. Pawit Ketsawa-wong. Group CEO and President of Bangja Corporation, Mr. Chaiwat Kowa Visarat, and Chairman of the ESG Council Indorama Venture, Mr. Yash Lohia. We have Energy Analyst DBS Vickers Securities Thailand, Mr. Duladet Big as our moderator for this session. So ladies and gentlemen, please join me to welcome all the panelists and moderator on the stage.
All right, thank you everyone, and welcome all investors to the panel discussion under the topic of climate action in Thailand, the business opportunities and challenges under the new policies. As there is growing concern about the global warming, we see lots of policies, initiatives, and binding agreements between countries on climate changes. For example, the Paris Agreement, which involve nearly 200 nations, aims to keep the rise of the global temperature below 1.5 degrees. COP28, that involves nearly all individual countries' deregulation, also targets net zero by 2050, also aims to reduce the fossil fuel and moving to the renewable energy. So may I first ask Khun Pawit to share his view on the Thailand's policy and the direction toward climate changes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon at the audience. We are not, no doubt that the climate change is affected our countries. You can see flooding in the north, and as well as the very tragedy in the south of the Phuket. As you mentioned that we adopt the solution from the COPs as well as the international arenas. That's why we are set up, as you may know, that 2050 we will be the carbon neutrality, and 2065 will be the net zeros. However, we try our best, and we put and we integrate international solution into our plan, country plan. So we launched like the national contribution, the first NDC that we try to reduce the greenhouse gas emission 30% by domestic activities, and 40% if we are able to get some support from the international. And we leave some room, like 6% from the Article 6 from the Paris Agreement. That means that it is exchange the carbon credit between bilateral. So this is our Thailand pathway. And you can see that there's a lot of the activities that we been apply. For example, like the technology. You may see on the screen, the slide that we move to renewable energy. We try to introduce carbon capture utilization or carbon capture storage. And we try to use like the hydrogen technology. And of course, the phase out the coal power plant. This is our target that we go along with. And you just mentioned that the COP28, there's a lot of the resolution, such as like triple of the renewable energy and doubling the energy efficiency. This is very challenges for Thailand because now you may see that we rely on the oil and gas for the electricity. And we try to introduce like the new technology that can be used instead of the oil and gas that I just mentioned. And also for the next phase of the NDC, there has been discussed that they will leverage like 40% to 60%. This is the second phase of the national determined contribution. So the Department of Climate Change and Environment, we launched to study the second phase of the second NDC. So we have to submit to the UNCCC next year on the plan, right? But we try to seeking with our country that, for example, like Germany, they said that, oh, it's very challenges for them as well. And US also, they are in the process of the election. So they are not committed to submit the second NDC by early next year. This is our challenges for the international arena. You may see that the climate change not only been impact to the economic, but also they impact social and environment. But for Thailand, Department of Climate Change, we try to establish the environment to or the tool for driving our target or the implementation of our target. So the first important mechanism is the law and regulation. So we draft the Climate Change Acts. You may know that we already hearing some public hearing, and now we are in the process of the considering and scrubbing the content in the climate change draft. So the climate change draft, roughly we can divide into the 4 components. Firstly is the international institution section. Secondly is the mitigation section and adaptation, as well as the enabling environment. You can see that the mitigation section is very important. We put some like greenhouse gas database or the ETS or carbon tax or carbon credit in this part. It's very important to the business as a whole. And of course, the climate change fund will be accommodate like when we use the scheme of the ETS or even the carbon tax, we put some money into the climate change fund for contribute to like the government or any local administration, as well as the some SME or some people to get impact from the climate change. And also, I think that the draft of climate change is very important, and we've been closely discussed with the relevant agencies such as the Department of Finance, for example, like the Excise Department, Custom Department, and Revenue Department, to decide what is the tangible or the scheme that we put or impose any taxes or on the products or on the process of the industrial sectors. And on the top of that, I think that the ETS is very important as well, because we've been imposed by the international trade, such as the CBAM, for example, like next 2 years, you will be take some enforcement from the CBAM, EU CBAM. So it's allowed that the country to export to the EU, you have to have like the climate change act that will charge or any carbon tax or any the ETS or carbon allowance, and you pay in domestic, and you can export to the EU. This is very important, that why we have the Climate Change Act. Excise tax itself or revenue tax itself is not able to export to the EU. This is very important for the industrial, and as well as if we have like the Climate Change Act, we will establish like the business environment to focusing on the very low carbon business. That's why we are able to attract some foreign investor to be invest in Thailand on the green technology or green industry. This is the clue of the Climate Change Draft Act. So this is the concise, the detail of the Climate Change Act. Perhaps you can able to download and study in advance, because we're thinking that we will accelerate the process to submit the draft Climate Change Act to the Cabinet by October, and perhaps after that, we go to the Parliament, and we expect that the Climate Change Act will are able to enact by around next year or the year after. This is our the policy. Thank you.
Thank you, Kap. So let me ask one more thing. You mentioned that the implementation of this Climate Change Act would be somewhat around next year or maybe a year after next, right? So this would be in line with the implication in the implementation of the CBAM. So this will go along, right? So can you comment on this, please?
Yeah, this is why that's, I mentioned that why we put some chapter regarding the carbon tax and ETS in the Climate Change Act. Because I just mentioned that the EU allow the country who has the legislation relevant to the climate change to impose the tax in domestically and export to the EU.
Thank you, Kap. So now we all know that the acts could be come out around next year, and the first draft could be in the fourth quarter this year. So moving to the next questions, I would like to ask Khun Chaiwat about how do business adopt to meet the new climate regulation in terms of Bangchak Corporation?
Right. Good afternoon, and thanks for having me here. Yeah, there you go. That's my slide. Right. I guess when they ask that how business should react with these things, I guess I would probably compare that with if anyone walk into the stock exchange and say that what should I do with my cash? So it's very simple questions, but actually a lot of things behind it. When you said what to do with your cash, probably being an advisor, you might want to know how old is the guy or the girls, what's her age or his age, and what kind of revenue she or he generate, and how long will he still generate that kind of income, whether that kind of income is still stable or not, right? And then how much cash you have to invest. So those are the things that you need to understand before you actually can give an advice. Probably the same will go to these very questions when you ask, how business going to react to the upcoming, what is it called, Carbon Act or Climate Change Act, whatever that is. I guess first thing first is that one probably need to know where you are, where you're up to. The two terminology there is actually, I think, it's really relevant for each and every one of us, where you really want to know how much carbon you emit each day, or probably each year rather, through your process. That's basically what they call CFO. It's no longer chief financial officers, but it's basically carbon footprint organizations. So you really need to know what sort of carbon you emit, or even greenhouse gas you emit over the period of the years. So and where does those carbon come from, or greenhouse gas come from? There is a standard there, ISO 14064, that you can comply with. And then also for those who have the product to be sold to, especially the developed market like EU, you need to learn another terminology there, which is CFP. Basically, it's the product life cycles, how much carbon that product, associate with. So, an EV car actually might have a bigger CFP than the ICE car. If you track back since they mine lithium, cobalt, and all that, all the way until they make cars and deliver it to your doorstep. That until you destroy that car. That's the CFP, and that's the whole life cycles of that particular product. So these are the two things probably you really need to know first, so that you can prepare yourself. At Bangchak, we start to disclose our carbon footprint back in 2011, before they even have the regulations. Although I believe the real regulation only came out for the CFO in 2019 and CFP 2023. But we've been consistently, try to make ourselves comply with this kind of thing. So we know where we are, and that's how we could probably prepare ourselves for it. But knowing is one thing. The next thing is, what is your roadmap? How you gonna make that happen? This is also, I think that's what we thought about it back in 2020 during the pandemic time. And I believe that it's more or less 3 years. Take that every other organization is also more or less using it as a reference. So basically, when we talk about carbon neutralities by 2030s or net zero by 2050s, nobody know where we're going to get there in 2050s, but pretty much everybody have a plan to do some things by 2030s. And most of those people who have planned to do things are basically, they have a plan to manage what they call scope 1 and scope 2. another two terminologies to add on top of it. A lot of you probably know about this, but I just want to be, everybody on the same, playing field, same levels. Basically, scope 1 is the carbon you emit in your process, your production process. And scope 2 is basically those utility you use to produce product. Like you buy electricities, you get clean waters, or that kind of things. That will basically be counted as a scope 2 in that process, how much carbon that been emitted, that's scope 2. Whatever is not in the scope 1 and 2 is scope 3. I'll get to that later. But basically, I've been through a few countries, talked to a few people. It seems that most of people have that plan by end of this decade to reduce scope 1 and scope 2 emissions. And here are the 3 yardsticks that I would probably recommend each and everyone to look into that and see, back into your own organizations, what else you can do. The simplest one, and probably the cheapest ones, is basically how you improve the efficiencies of your machineries, how you're going to improve energy intensities of your machineries, your buildings. Even being a property developer, just came back from Sydney, and I can see that, they start to think about how to use less light, how to use less aircon. How can you, solar roof is only normal, okay? Every high rise now have a solar roof. But what actually happened is that they plant underneath the solar. So first, by having, all these plantations beneath the solars, you cooling the solar panels, make it more efficient. But on top of that, by having those plants on the roof, you reduce temperatures of the buildings by 20 Celsius. It's really that much that I can reduce, and then you consume less energies. So all these kind of things, rather simple, and we just ignore it. And a lot of things can be done through these energy efficiencies or efficiency improvements in your processes, including too much light here, where you need to turn on the aircon. That's not efficiencies, right? That can be improved. That kind of things. Normally, the power price anywhere from 10 to 30% of your carbon footprint can basically be improved in that process improvements. The next one is a little bit more expensive, but I think we've seen that all the times. Even before, this climate change era is you do some plantations, right? So it's basically a natural sequestration of carbon dioxide or greenhouse gas. So that is a bit more expensive. The last bit is probably the most expensive one, and sometimes we don't even know whether those technologies have arrived yet. This I'm talking about the like of e-fuel, the like of hydrogens or CCUS. This thing, we talk a lot about it, but basically it just, a bit too expensive for the time being. And I think we still are waiting the technologies to be able to, justify those kind of investments. So these are basically the 3 yardsticks, which we also use in Bangkok to try to reach, our net zero target. The last bit is probably the most expensive one and most difficult one. It can be $1 trillion, it can be $1 zillion. It's the scope 3, or the whole ecosystem, how you're going to reduce their emissions. I guess most of the companies, organizations, your own scope 1 and 2 emissions is anywhere from 10 to 20%. The remaining 80% are scope 3s, and totally you can't control it. In oil and gas, which is basically, the worst, devil in terms of emissions, our process, scope 1 and 2, only account about 7% of total emissions. But another 70% are basically scope 3s. And that you need to talk to your ecosystem. You need to work with your supply chain. You work with your stakeholders and try to find a way to reduce the carbon emissions. And that will basically, what I said just now, the CFP, the whole product life cycles, you need to look through the whole cycle and see how you're going to manage and reduce that. And that is still a question waits to be answered. I don't think anyone find, a way, a pathway to achieve that. So come back to your questions. Basically, it's a bit long, the answers, but basically, you need to understand yourself first, where you're up to, and basically how you're going to reduce your own scope 1, 2 emission. I guess those are probably the most important bit for the time being.
Thank you, Kap. Very clear, actually. So it's your turn, Mr. Yash. So Indorama Ventures has over 100 plants or over 30 countries. So what opportunities and challenges do you see from the climate change policies?
Thank you. So Indorama Ventures it's a global chemical firm manufacturing mainly PET, plastic, and polyester fiber globally. So we have certain sustainability targets. We want to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions by 30% by 2030. Similar to the Thailand plan, we want to have our feedstock moving away from fossil-based to bio-based. We want to have 25% of our total feedstock coming from either bio-based, renewable, or circular feedstock. So on the first slide, and moving away from fossil feedstock to bio feedstock really reduces your emissions by 50 to 70%. The BCG principle of Thailand, or the initiative of Thailand that was set out in 2021, soon after, in 2022, we came out with what we call our Vision 2030, to have 16% of our feedstock move from fossil-based to bio-based, and another 9% to circular feedstock. What that means is recycling, bottle-to-bottle recycling or textile-to-textile recycling. The way to get to do that is through advanced recycling, mechanical recycling, moving away from fossil feedstock to wood or sugar or corn-based feedstock to make PET plastic. And Thailand has a good opportunity to do that. We have the raw materials here. We have a lot of wood. We have a lot of sugar, and that can be used towards this Thai ambition of BCG to have the bio feedstock replace fossil feedstock. On the circular side, Thailand recently allowed for bottle-to-bottle recycling, which has dramatically helped the circular economy when it comes to PET bottles. At IVL, we have a target of recycling 50 billion PET bottles per year by next year, globally. We are close to getting there, but that required some regulations coming into place. The last one that came into place was Thailand, and that will help the waste management create a circular economy for bottle-to-bottle, where originally, before, it was going to landfill or it was being incinerated. However, when you use bio feedstock, it is much more expensive than fossil-based feedstock, similar to what Chaiwat was saying. And we need to be incentivized, and we need to work with with the public sector as well to sort of enable this push towards these innovative technologies and innovative materials. Today, Thailand is not as competitive compared to its neighboring countries. When it comes to power price, the power cost is usually, the majority of the variable cost when it comes to manufacturing industries. So in Thailand, our power price is, it's higher, it's on the higher end in the ASEAN. It's similar and higher than China and India, and it's much higher than Indonesia and Vietnam. And we compete with these countries when it comes to imports as well as exports. At the same time, in Thailand, we're not able to access renewable power directly. It has to be via the grid, because there's no wheeling of power allowed in Thailand. Even though in China and India, the power price is similar or a little bit less than Thailand, they do allow direct access to renewable energy. And what we've seen in those countries, renewable energy is half the price of the grid price today. It's roughly 4 to 5 cents compared to the grid price of about 10 cents. Similarly, in Vietnam and Indonesia, the power price is 7 or 8 cents, so it's much lower. And as I mentioned, power price being the majority of the variable cost in manufacturing, it's hard to compete with these countries. So what we need in Thailand also is to incentivize industry, incentivize manufacturers to be able to use renewable. What that does is it reduces your cost, your variable cost, but it also reduces your carbon emissions at the same time. So it helps us also follow the policies of Thailand, the Climate Action Pact of Thailand. So I mentioned the power price being the most expensive. Adding the carbon tax or ETS to our manufacturing process will further increase our cost in the manufacturing industry in Thailand. And this needs to be done carefully. In Europe, Europe is not a competitive manufacturing base compared to the US or compared to other importing countries. And what we've seen over the past 2 years in Europe is it's made a difference in some countries, but a lot of the manufacturing hubs of Europe have had to shut down many of their sites. Not necessarily because of the carbon tax, but because those countries also had a much higher power price because of the Russia-Ukraine war, which was the catalyst of that power price increasing. So in Thailand, we have to be careful that we don't make it even less competitive by adding an ETS or carbon tax. I like the slide that Khun Chaiwat showed about the different pricing, and there are phases of when we can actually implement technologies. In our industry, we either use natural gas is imported in Thailand, so we rely on natural gas, and it's again more expensive than most countries. And natural gas is the clean source of power that's accessible here in Thailand. So, moving away from natural gas to renewable energy as a power source further reduces your emissions as well as your cost. CBAM in Europe, it's coming soon. It's coming in certain sectors, in the high-emitting sectors. So for our sector, it's going to come much later on. And we hope to see the technologies required to, for example, carbon capture. We don't have any carbon capture technologies at the moment in our company, but we are looking at implementing it. It's very expensive, so we are looking at it where the government provides a scheme and subsidizes the capex of putting in a carbon capture technology. So we need to, at the same time, I believe Thailand is in a good spot. We have good opportunities here where we can revive our competitiveness in manufacturing. Our footprint as far as the IEA factor is concerned, the country IEA factor, is actually much better than China, India, Vietnam, Indonesia, even Philippines. Our factor is about 0.5 compared to 0.7 to 0.8 in the other countries, because other countries are still using more coal than we are. So we are ahead as far as our sustainability emissions factor is, but we have to maintain that competitive advantage by making renewable even more accessible, and then incentivizing further technologies to reduce our emissions. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So back to Khun Chaiwat, as Bangchak is one of the leading domestic refineries, so what renewable sources do you think will help you achieve sustainability?
Right. Hello? Yep. Right. I guess that's a very good question, is that what renewable energy can help. I guess we all know about the shortcoming of renewable energies, right? Where typically, as we know, if it's gas-fired power plants or thermal power plant, you can run 24/7, 365 days a year. Yeah, that's right. But when you come to other renewables like solar, it's basically 20% capacity factors, i.e., you can run only 20% per day in terms of power generation, and you need to find alternative source when it's dark. Or if it's wind farm, then it's probably more like 30%, right? So those are the shortcomings of the renewables, and how could we make them more sustainable? We have seen here, if I may go back, you have seen Xinjiang there. That's basically the desert area. And you can see the coastal of China. You can see that this is a night shot of China, and most of the light are basically at the coastal part of the countries where they consume a lot of electricity. And Xinjiang is probably, 6,000-7,000 kilometers away. What happened is that in China, they turned all those deserts into solar farm. A huge amount of solar farms up there you won't ever visited. And then they basically have what they call ultra high voltage transmissions, transmit green electron from Xinjiang to the coastal provinces. So you can see 10 years ago, renewable account for only about 20% of power generations. This is not megawatt hour. This is not megawatt. This is megawatt hours. So it's actual electron that consumed in China. 10 years ago, it's only about 20%. And typically, when people talk about renewables, the bulk of the green electron come from hydropowers. Reason being, hydropower, the capacity factor is about 50 to 60%. So it's much more reliable compared to wind farms or solar farms. But in China, last year, 50% of its electricity generations actually come from renewables. And you drill down further, surprisingly, is solar actually get the biggest share, not hydro. So I guess they really find a way to bridge the gap about, what they call intermittencies, where, the powers can come and goes when there is a cloud, when there's raining, you don't have electricity, but they manage to solve that problem. And I think that's quite important. And as we all know, it's not 1 billion, I think it's more like $10 billion subsidies each and every year for the renewable in China. So I think to make that happen, it's important to bridge the gap there, which I call it to bridge the space and time gap. Okay, space gap is just like what happened where you produce in Xinjiang, that's the source of your energies, and the load or the use is in coastal provinces, and it's 6,000 kilometers apart, and how you bridge that space gap. And also sometimes what they call time gap, where like, for example, in Thailand, most of the wind farm, we only generate electron during midnight until 4 in the mornings, where there's no demand for it. That's the time gap. We have demand at about 7 p.m. Those windmills are not turning. How are you going to bridge that gap? I guess those are the two big questions, big issues to make renewable workable. It's actually in the energy space, it's very common problems. Back into the fossil era, and we're still in the fossil era by the way. You can see that oil actually been pumped out from Middle East. Demand is probably in Europe or New York, or you can shale oil in the central of USA, but the demand is at the coastal, state of the US, or that kind of things. So what happened is that we pump them up and then we transport them to where the demand is, right? So how we gonna transport all this green electron across? I guess that's actually quite important. We have seen they're using ultra high voltage transmissions. Typical high voltage transmission is about 500 kV. In China, it's 1,000 kV. And they're not using alternative current, they're using direct current. So that means the loss in the transmission is less. That kind of things. The other very interesting case study is that this actually, bridging both the space and time problem is this is where Chile, Argentina is. Apart from they produce a lot of lithium, they also in the country where it's very little rain drop, a lot of sun, and at high altitude. So basically, you have a solar panel there, power is for free. Okay, power is for free. They're using that power that generate from both wind and solars to break the waters into hydrogens. And then they transport that in liquid form to Europe, what they call e-fuels. So if anyone who drive Porsche, you will know that Porsche already have a sort of factories in Chile to make e-fuels because electricity there is so cheap and you can just do the hydrogens. And the means of transport normally is always in the liquid form. Okay, basically, you look at it, if it's gas, you to carry it, it's very difficult. You to compress it, right? You can't just transport oxygen in this room to another room, right? You need to do something with it. So in the gas form, it's very difficult to transport. In the solid form, it's also very difficult. Example of solid form is battery. You can see battery is so heavy, right? All the EV car, about 50% of the weight is actually batteries. To transport from one place to another is rather difficult. But in liquid form, it can be anything. It can be oil, like benzines or diesels, or it can be biofuels. That's what we are in biofuels. It can be SAF, sustainable aviation fuels. Those are also in liquid form. You can transport much easier. You can using it, by truck, by train, by barge, by VLCCs, by Suez Max, whatever it is, you can transport it, and that's what we are in. So I guess to answer your questions, we need to bridge the time and space gap, and way to do that is still, we need more innovations associated with that, and then if we can transport across the space and time, it's basically energy storage, and the best form to store those energy is in liquid form.
Thank you, Kap. So up to this point, I believe that we all know about the climate change policies. We all know that the corporates, the business have very well adapting themselves to these changes, both refineries and petrochemical. So now let's turn to the impact of these climate changes on the business. So may I ask Kun Pawit about the impact of these upcoming climate changes policies or acts on the business and investments, as well as the foreign investment in Thailand? Thank you.
I just mentioned earlier that there's some part that in the draft of acts that the corporate have to report the emission to the government. That's why they will have to preparing the report like CFO or any carbon report to the government. At the first place, I think that it will impose to the big company rather than the small, medium, or micro organization, because I think that the big company is well preparing for the upcoming climate change acts. That's why we try to facilitate the SME and leverage the capability to making a report. Because why, like Kun Chawat just mentioned, that the supply chain is very important to the business. Therefore, this act will be accommodate all any businesses, big, small, or medium, and micro because without the act, we are not able to take some data of the greenhouse gas emission. Without data emission, we are not able to making some policy or any measures to make some target to reduce the greenhouse gas in line of the 1.5 decarbonization temperatures. That's why I think that the corporates have to well prepare. And secondly is because of the carbon tax and ETS. The ETS itself is rationale is the company have to try to cut down the greenhouse gas emission first, and rather than that, they will have to buy any carbon from the, for example, like from the company that can get some very least of the carbon emission, or even you can buy from the carbon stock from the natural resources. And also the one that will impact to the business is the carbon tax that I mentioned, that at the first place we will impose to the fuel first, and because we've been discussed with the excise department that decide how to collect some tax from the process or from the products. However, for the incentive, we've been discussed with the revenue department that the technology that or the company are able to introduce high technology that like the CCS or CCUS that will costly the investment. That the incentive is how can government to subsidize or making some return from them, and as well as how the BOI can support from the foreign investor to make the investment for the high technology in Thailand. This is the way that we are deciding in the Climate Change Act. And the last but not least is how can the company to making the transition to the low carbon industry or the low carbon manufacturing, because of the we have the limitation of the renewable energy currently, but for like Kun Chavat just mentioned that we have the opportunity to increase some renewable energy in Thailand. But for renewable energy, we are discussed with the Ministry of Energy. They put some PDP or any power plan that go along with our target. So make sure that the energy plan is go in line with our transition. So this is the impact that will come up with the Climate Change Act when we take into enforcement.
Thank you, Kap. So it seems that business will have some additional costs to implement with these climate changes policy. So the next question would be the climate changes policies, how these affects the business landscape in terms of cost and benefit trade-off. Mr. Yash, can you comment on this, please?
Yes. Yeah, I mentioned the climate action. It includes the carbon tax, but it also includes a push towards renewable energy, a push towards bio, which reduces your emissions. So it does push the industry to implement biomaterial, which reduces your emissions by over 50%. It pushes you to use renewable energy, which again, it's renewable energy, so it's much lower emission. And at the same time, if you don't fall under that allowance of emissions, then there's a ETS or a carbon tax that further incentivizes you to come below. One challenge that we face, these schemes, many governments have been talking about these schemes globally. I think it started in Europe, when they really look after their environment, they came out with different ideas. So we have been trying to implement the same kind of thing in Europe, and where we find some friction is on the consumer and customer side. For many years, when inflation was low, consumers did surveys of, there are many surveys about whether consumers are willing to pay a premium for more sustainable products. And over 80-90% of consumers back then used to say yes, they're willing to pay a premium. More recently, when inflation has been higher, especially in 2022, consumers are now wishing for more affordable products rather than sustainable products. So we have to be mindful about the price point on the shelves for consumers. Because when you implement biomaterial, when you implement carbon capture, when you implement expensive technologies and expensive materials to reduce your emissions, someone has to absorb that cost, and someone also has to pass on that cost at the same time. So, so you need also the value chain to work together. You need the supply chain to work together to really understand how will the cost be passed on to the consumer, what is the impact on the consumer, and is the consumer willing to afford that impact? This is a bit of a turnaround we've seen in Europe. I give the example of PET. Recycled PET is 30% more expensive than virgin PET. It follows different economics because the raw material, instead of being oil-based raw material, it is recycled bottles as a feedstock, which actually is more expensive. So customers who had targets of recycled content are taking their time on meeting those targets because it makes it more expensive for them and at a time when consumer demand is a little bit low. Similarly, that can probably be considered in other products where you need to make them more sustainable. So, at the same time, we support the Climate Action Pact, and we are aligned towards it. We have our blueprint ready, but cost is a big impact for businesses to actually implement and execute on these plans. And working with the public-private partnership to incentivize these plans also would help. And how the value chain and supply chain would absorb this cost so that the consumer doesn't have to take that impact also needs to be considered.
Yeah, thank you. And maybe I twist to another angle. Can I ask Mr. Chawat about your opinion of how can business strategically prepare themselves for the impact of climate policies to maintain competitiveness both domestically and internationally? Thank you.
Right. I guess it's really a tough call. How you're gonna balance things. On one hand, as he just said that by implementing all these climate change measures, climate change impact product. It means higher cost. And in the renewable space, it's not higher cost, it's reduced cost, but at the same time, the price also press on it. You can see that green electron 5 years ago or even 2 years ago being sold at about 12 baht per unit. Now it's being sold at about 1.5 baht per unit. So you don't get returns, and how you're going to answer to your shareholders, right? So to transitions into sort of a new areas, you really need to be very carefully venture into that. In Bangchak, I guess we as I said, we've been prepared for a very long times. We've been following the trends. We were among the first to introduce biofuels, and you can see that biofuel is now being used as a law and regulations. So we enjoyed the first part of it. We also invested in lithium minings, and you might know that 2 years ago, lithium mining was sold at about $18,000 per ton. When we first invested in, it was only about $1,000 per ton. But now, actually, the price collapsed because of the EV demands and all that. So I guess timing is quite important, and to understand the industry is also quite important. Of late, we built what we call SAF plant, Sustainable Aviation Fuels, in our refineries at Phrakanong area. That again come as a mandatory by those who want to fly into, at least in Europe, by 2026. You need to mix that into the jet fuel. If any airline fly in didn't mix that into that jet fuel, then they will be subject to fine, and the fine is the double of the price if they were, if they were buying it. But since they didn't buy it, they didn't pay the fine, which is double the cost. And that SAF at the moment is about 3 times jet fuel price. And obviously, this will be passing on to the consumers. And it's up to consumer what do they want to do. At the moment, everything, we are complaining that air tickets are so expensive these days, right? Yet once SAF is introduced, it's going to be even more expensive. So it's going to become a rock and hard place now. We need to choose. So it's really very, very, very difficult, and probably something the management really need to follow the trends and discuss a lot about things that are going to happen. I actually have a slide, but I don't want to show it here. But I can just tell you that if any one of us ever been visiting Elon Musk's plant in California, Vermont, if I'm not mistaken, in his company, there's a big vision of the company that we will accelerate energy transitions. So he is basically, as we all know, a very big force in these energy transitions. A couple of weeks ago, through his X, the old Twitter, he interviewed probably incoming presidents. I don't know. It's still very tight, right? It's at the ranking between Harris and Trump is basically statistically error, right? So we don't know who's gonna assume office in November. But I think Musk is on Trump camp, and he actually interviewed Trump. And what came out from that discussion is that this comes from Musk himself. Energy transition will be moderate. You don't think, and he said that not everyone, need to drive EV car. And people should not devilize those who in the fossil business. These are all come from Musk, who actually he said he want to accelerate energy transitions, right? So probably we really need to balance things a little bit. It's very difficult time at the moment. We don't do it, we will subject to CBAM. We do it, we need to explain to our shareholders and our customers. So that is a delicate balance there.
Thank you, Kap. And I have come across one of the research saying that the implementation of these climate changes could adversely affect up to 14 industries, and that could hurt up to 6.5 trillion Thai baht, or about 35% of national GDP. And that comes to my last question to Khun Pawit. So, as a regulator and authority, how do you balance the goal of climate changes and the negative impact to business in terms of the rising production costs? Thank you.
Like I said, that the government have the responsibility to balance the country development as well as the impact from the climate change to not only for the private sectors but also for the people as well. Therefore, we think that how can we create or formulate any measure that be able to facilitate or accommodate any private sectors and as well as the people. Like I said, that for example, like in the Climate Change Acts, we put some mitigation as well as the adaptation, and we will have the climate fund. This is the vehicle that can be support any even private sectors, people, public sector itself. So make sure that our measure or any policy that will not be a burden for the private sectors. And the private sector who get impact from the loss and or any damage from any disasters, we think that this fund in the future be able to facilitate or support any cost that has been from the natural disaster itself. But we have to decide what is the measures or regulation that are able to enabling the environment of the business. So we ensure that any policy or any measurement that the government has launched to the public will help any stakeholders, our stakeholders, not only for private sector or any people, but for the Thailand as a whole. But we have to working together. It means that the government itself or public sector itself have to discuss very closely with the private sectors to make sure that any policy or any measure is not be a burden to their business, as well as how can we balance not take side to the private sector, but we have to take care of all the people who vulnerable to the climate change impact as well. So.
Thank you very much. And actually, we have come to an end. So I would like to thank you, our honorable panelists coming today. So that concludes our discussion for today. I wish you a pleasant conference for the rest of this week. Thank you.
Thank you very much, all the panelists and moderator for this fruitful session. Ladies and gentlemen, as we wrap up Thailand Focus 2024, I would like to extend our heartfelt thanks to our speakers, panelists and moderators for their valuable insights. Your contributions have been truly impactful. And to all participants, thank you so much for your active engagement. Your presence has been and has made this event a success. We hope you enjoy your stay in Bangkok and look forward seeing you again next year. Safe travel and have a wonderful evening. ขอบคุณและสวัสดีค่ะ